What is happening on this draft night? Thanks for joining us as always. I appreciate every single one of you. It's been over a month. It's been what, like 6 weeks since the last time I was able to ask you this question. What are you drinking tonight? What are you drinking tonight on this Crafts and Kickoffs NFL Draft Preview episode? Can't wait to get going. I am drinking a Wolpertinger, which is a Bavarian-style Dunkelweizen. And it's from Commonwealth Brewing down in Virginia Beach. So 757 shout out. When I was down there in late March, we grabbed a 4-pack of these. It's I think it's 5.4 is the ABV. So a Bavarian-style Dunkelweiss Ale Wolpertinger from Commonwealth Brewing. I appreciate every single one of you. Marcus, I'm not hammered just yet. First beer of the night, my friend. Maybe later on. But thanks for joining me, and let's get right into it. I don't want to waste any time. We'll be with you up until about 7:30 or so, and then we could file out and get ready for the draft that starts at 8. By the way, Jordan Schultz just tweeted out that the Browns received serious calls about the number 2 pick earlier this morning. They've believed all along that at least 1 or 2 super strong offers would come in as the draft approached, and that belief still holds inside the building. So as of right now, it sounds like the Cleveland Browns are at least open to the idea of trading that second overall pick. Who could that be to? We have some information on that, which I will get to. But first, let's have a drink. Whatever it is that you're drinking, let me know. Gregory Brown's got the Gin and OJ. Caveman's got the Zombie Dust Undead Pale Ale 6.5 ABV from Three Floyds Brewing out of Munster, Indiana. So keep on letting me know what you're drinking, what you're having. I know our friend Terry, she's got her Diet Pepsi. She's fired up for the draft. That's how she hangs out. So don't worry, whether it's milk, water, soda, beer like me, enjoy yourself a drink tonight as we get ready for this NFL draft. All right, let me jump into it. I expect movement. I expect a lot of movement tonight in this draft. And I know we say that almost every single year. There are going to be a bunch of trades, teams moving up, teams moving down. But I really do believe that we will have a bunch of movement tonight for a number of reasons. Number one, there hasn't been a single trade yet. And that's really weird. That's different. By the way, congratulations, Anthony. Sober for 5 months. Enjoy the water. Amy, I see you. On vacation. No text, no call. What's going on? Hope you enjoy the glass of Moscato. Talk to you soon. No trades made up until this moment. I mean, we're at 7:03, less than 1 hour away from the draft, and there has not been a single trade made of any picks in this first round. And that's highly unusual. I expect a busy night tonight because of that. I expect teams have been waiting. They have been seeing if offers will get a little bit more spicy than they've been. It all adds up. No trades leading into today. It all adds up to a busy night. Teams moving up and down the board. A few more reasons for you, not just the fact that there's been no trades today or before this point. Teams are motivated. I think teams are motivated to move down or out of the first round. I've been reading all day that there's a bunch of teams that are trying to trade out of the first round, a bunch of teams in the 20s. The Steelers might want to trade out. Minnesota has been brought up. The Green Bay Packers have been brought up. There are a bunch of teams. Washington wants to move out of 29. There are a bunch of teams that want to move out of the first round. And I think it's just all about price. Teams are waiting to see. Teams are waiting to see what the price will be. What is the final price? What's happening? How much do you have to give up? Ian Rappaport, by the way, just tweeted out that the Browns, they have gotten interest from teams inside the top 10. Cleveland is open for business. Chaos coming, question mark. So as we get closer to this draft already, sounds like Cleveland might be getting closer to dealing that second pick. Fascinating. A lot of people thought that Cleveland was going to stick and pick and just say, hey, we want Travis Hunter. That might still end up happening, but we've got to wait to see how this all unfolds. It's all about price, though. I truly believe that. This is all about price. Teams are motivated to move out of the first round. The supply and demand, teams that want to move into the first round, they know that. So they're going to sit there and they're going to wait. They're going to wait until the asking price drops. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, the Giants, the Saints, they could all use quarterbacks. Not likely at 3, 9, or 21. But when you have 4 teams, when you have those 4 teams, right, at 2, at 3, at 9, at 21, you have 4 teams that need a quarterback for the future. That is going to create opportunity for teams to make those deals, It's unpredictable too, because this draft is incredibly unpredictable. Guys are going to fall, and guys fall. That creates opportunity. Teams that are sitting there say, oh, well, we didn't think that guy was going to be there. That guy continues to fall. We've got to jump up and grab him. So I do expect movement tonight. I expect movement. Gremlin getting all over my background. Yeah. Why are you attacking my background, Grem? Not the prettiest thing in the world. We're going to make some changes. We're going to make some tweaks. I've been pretty busy the last couple months, but trust me, we are making some tweaks to this for next season. I appreciate the kind words on this Thursday night. Terry Grant jumps in with a $20 super chat. Thanks for keeping us up to date. Thank you, Terry, for jumping in. Thank you for the $20. Appreciate your generosity. Appreciate all of your support. All of your support. By the way, Adam Schefter just tweeted, when assessing how the top 10 picks tonight will unfold, one well-placed source said, expect explosives. Oh, explosives. Thank you, Terry, again, for the $20 super chat. All right, before I jump to story number 2, or maybe 4, depending on how we look at it, before I jump to that story, don't forget to help us out. Click that thumbs up as you watch us here on YouTube, this live stream. More thumbs means more eyeballs. It helps the algorithm. So make sure you click that thumbs up and give us a like. Throw your comment in. What team do you root for? What do you want that team to do tonight during the draft? Your number one target for your favorite team. Throw some comments in. Comments also help us with the algorithm. And we're trying to get to 6,600 subscribers tonight. We're about 40 or so away from that. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel as well. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and have some fun and have a drink. I appreciate every single one of you. All right, next story up. The Giants, the Browns. Do we believe the smoke? There's a lot of smoke happening right now around Cleveland. Do we believe the smoke? Now, I would tend to not believe the smoke because people say there are only 2 blue chip prospects in this draft, and that would be Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. And it was just, over the past few weeks, I've been sitting there saying it makes sense for those teams to stick and pick, to remain where they are, to draft Carter, to draft Hunter, land one of the best players available in this draft. And then if you want to add on to what you've done early in the first round, then trade back into the late first round and add another piece. I still find it somewhat hard to believe that a team would trade out of the top 3 when they have a shot at Hunter or Carter in this specific draft. If you're Cleveland, for example, if you trade down to, let's say, 5, if you trade down to 5, who do you get at 5? And do you really believe that the player that you get at 5 plus the draft capital that you get is better than Travis Hunter? I have to imagine that Cleveland is going to make the deal only if it's a borderline no-brainer. The Giants, a lot less talk about the Giants and what they're going to do, which is interesting. It's interesting. Cleveland at 2, they have the opportunity to draft either Carter or Hunter, and they're open for business. The Giants, they're going to get the leftovers, whoever is left to them at 3. Does that mean that they might not draft the person who is left over? Maybe they have their eye on somebody else. It's interesting that Cleveland's open for business and the Giants are not necessarily open for business. It's a very interesting situation playing out with about 50 minutes to go before we start the draft. And, of course, that means Roger Goodell will go up there and blabber for about 15 minutes and nobody will care about a single word he says. I would think the perfect draft for the Giants or the Browns would be, hey, draft the BPA at 2 and 3 and then trade back into the late first round, or stick at the top of the second and find your quarterback through one of those avenues. But it really seems like Cleveland, they're taking offers, and they're not taking offers just to take offers. They're legitimately talking to teams about moving that second pick right now. And I'm surprised by that. Joe Shane, the Giants, never really drafted a quarterback in New York. Are they thinking Shedeur Sanders? Are they thinking Jackson Dart? I know Joe Shane's son went on Instagram and posted a Jackson Dart video, and that got people talking. Are the Giants actually going to draft Jackson Dart at number 3? That would be unbelievable. Imagine drafting Jackson Dart first. Dart goes before Shedeur Sanders, which a month ago, I don't know many people thought that would happen. Second, you're bypassing Abdul Carter for Jackson Dart, which would speak volumes of how the Giants feel about Dart as a future franchise quarterback. Maybe Andrew Berry, who is the leader of the Cleveland Browns front office, maybe he just feels like he's been burnt too much investing in the quarterback position. Maybe he wants to grab some draft capital after that Deshaun Watson experience. But we'll keep an eye on that, because it does sound like Cleveland is really thinking about making that move out of 2, which leads us to the Jacksonville Jaguars, story number 3 on the draft preview episode of Crafts and Kickoffs. I ask you, what are you drinking on this Thursday night? I have the Wolpertinger from Commonwealth Brewing, Bavarian style, Dunkelweiss Ale. It's fantastic. 5.4 is the ABV. Appreciate every single one of you. Let me know what you're drinking. So the Jaguars. It sounds like the Jaguars are absolutely dedicated. They're committed to making a big move tonight. Every mock draft before the last week or two, it was Mason Graham ends up in Jacksonville. Mason Graham at number 5. Mason Graham at number 5. Then all of a sudden, Mason Graham started to float away from the 5th pick. There was a lot less of the Mason Graham talk over the past week or two. And Jacksonville sitting there at 5, and we wonder, what are they going to do? Diana Rossini tweeted out an hour or so ago that teams that are picking in the top 10 have shared that they expect the Jaguars to make a splash tonight. And so it would only stand to reason. Jeff Howe tweeted out earlier that the Jaguars are trying to make a move up and that they're looking at the 2nd pick. So does Cleveland have Jacksonville over a barrel? Is Jacksonville willing to give the Cleveland Browns an offer that they just simply cannot refuse? Is that what's happening here? Cleveland, they've got all the leverage. They can just stick and pick Travis Hunter at 2, and everybody would say, well, they drafted the best player available in the draft. They drafted the best guy, the best player in the draft. And that's an easy pick. I think the fan base in Cleveland would be thrilled with Hunter. So they've got all the leverage. They don't have any urgency. They can sit back, and it sounds like they're doing just that. They're going to sit back and wait for the best possible offer to be put on the table. How desperate is Jacksonville? How much urgency do they have on their side? How much are they willing to give up to move up to number 2? Because that is a splash, right? All of us would agree. That's a splash. If Jacksonville trades up to number 2 and drafts Travis Hunter, that's a big-time splash. That's a huge move. First-time GM from the Rams, Gladstone. You got a first-time head coach with Liam Cohen from Warwick, Rhode Island. That's a big move. I mean, that's a huge move to make if you're Jacksonville with a new GM, a new head coach, and you trade up from 5 to 2. And I would imagine, again, Cleveland is not going to give up the 2nd pick in the draft for peanuts. Not in a draft that's seen as mostly a 2 or 3 player draft if you include Ashton Genty. So there's lots of smoke there right now. If Jacksonville stays at 5, could the splash be Ashton Genty? Could be. Ashton Genty could be the splash at number 5. Could the Patriots make a deal with Jacksonville? Could the Patriots make a deal with somebody else that wants to leapfrog Jacksonville? Is that deal less likely if Jacksonville moves up to 2, and then maybe a team like Chicago believes that Genty's going to fall to them at 10 because now they're not worried about the Jaguars picking Genty at 5? So all these different pieces. Is the splash Tet McMillan? Could McMillan be the splash at 5 if the Jags can't work that deal out? I mean, imagine Jacksonville, though. You've got Trevor Lawrence. You've got Brian Thomas Jr. If you trade up and draft Travis Hunter, I mean, you've got some top tier talent. I know Trevor Lawrence has not been great the last couple of years, right? But you still look at it and say the natural talent of that football team on offense, Liam Cohen would have a lot of toys to play with. And whenever you have an offensive head coach and that offensive head coach is a rookie head coach, I always tend to believe that they're willing to go after offense. They're willing to make that big splash offensively because they want to show the world that they not only can be a head coach, but they can still play call. I think the same thing's happening in Chicago. We hear a lot of stuff about Chicago being interested in Ashton Genty. Ben Johnson, first-time head coach, offensive mind. Get that new toy in Ashton Genty to go along with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams and Cole Kmet, and you rebuilt that interior of the offensive line. So we'll see. We'll see if this comes together. Whether or not Jacksonville will make that deal up to number 2. I've got Twitter up. I'm ready for the breaking news if it comes our way. Story number 2. As I take another sip of my drink, happy NFL draft night. Story number 2, Shedeur Sanders. And by the way, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on Facebook checking us out, hit that like button as well. The likes and the comments here on YouTube, of course, help us with that algorithm. 2 months ago, Shedeur Sanders was seen as a top 3 pick in this draft. Many people thought that Shedeur Sanders was going to go to either Cleveland or the New York Giants. I thought that Sanders would end up with either Cleveland or New York in the top 3. I'm not saying in this draft, but I thought one of those 2 teams was going to be desperate for a quarterback and say, all right, we're going to make this move. But now nobody knows. I don't think anybody knows, including Shedeur or Dion. I don't think anybody knows where Shedeur Sanders is going to get drafted. And we've heard all of these different bits and pieces. He could go 3rd to the Giants. He could go 21 to Pittsburgh. He could go 9 to the Saints, but probably not the Saints because the Saints like Jackson Dart more. Then we hear that the Giants like Jackson Dart more. At least Brian Daboll likes Jackson Dart more than he likes Shedeur Sanders. We heard that Mike Tomlin likes Shedeur Sanders, but Tomlin might not like Sanders at 21. It's been all over the map with Shedeur Sanders. And the feeling is I always get a kick out of these top NFL insiders who have no idea because they're used to having at least some kind of inkling where somebody might go. And when you hear all of this talk about Shedeur Sanders, all you hear is, I don't know. Everybody's leaving themselves an out. Adam Schefter, Peter Schrager, pretty much everybody reporting on Shedeur Sanders is leaving the door open to the Giants making that pick at number 3. So I don't think anybody knows. Sanders could go 3rd. He could go 33rd. I don't think anybody has a clue what's going to happen with Shedeur Sanders. And if New York and Cleveland both pass on Sanders with their first picks, that speaks volumes. Because Cleveland, Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, they're in some trouble. They've got some heat, feet to the fire. The Deshaun Watson trade was miserable for them. Giving him that contract was miserable. It was the ownership's fault, but hey, it is what it is. Ownership's not going to fire themselves. So you've got Stefanski and Berry, who are on the hot seat. They have Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett right now in Cleveland. I would think that they would want to draft a quarterback. If they're willing to let Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, whoever, if they're willing to pass them by, let them pass by at 2, or even trade down to 5 and let Shedeur Sanders pass by at 5, that speaks a lot to Shedeur Sanders as a quarterback prospect in this draft because you have a quarterback-needy team with the opportunity to draft the guy, and they say thanks but no thanks. Same thing could be said for the New York Giants. Joe Shane, Brian Daboll, they are both coaching and general managing, respectively, for their jobs this year. If New York stinks this season, they're done. And I know they keep saying that they feel good about Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. I just can't imagine tying myself and my future to Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston in 2025. So if you've got both the Giants and the Browns saying thanks but no thanks to Shedeur Sanders, 2 teams that are quarterback needy as far as future goes, Cleveland is current right now. They need a quarterback. They need job security. If both of those teams pass on Shedeur, that should tell us that Shadur Sanders is not an elite quarterback talent. He's not somebody that everybody's looking at saying, we've got to get him. We've got to go do this, right? We've got to make this happen. I also think there's something at work here where it's easier public relations wise to wait on your quarterback. If you don't think the quarterback is the guy, if you're not confident that Shadur Sanders is worth the second pick or the third pick in this draft, and if you wait to draft Sanders, then what that does is it takes the pressure off of Sanders. He doesn't have to go do the big time press conference as your first pick in this draft. The other guy is going to talk. If Cleveland drafts Travis Hunter is going to talk first. Now, it'd be interesting if they drafted Hunter and Sanders, obviously college teammates, but that first pick that you make, that's the guy who's going to get the talk. That's the guy who's going to talk first, and people are going to say, he was your first pick. And I do think that makes a difference with the optics. If you draft Sanders at 2 or 3, that dude has to be a franchise quarterback. If you draft Sanders later in the first round, early second round, if you swing and miss, it ain't going to look good, but it's going to look better than if you swung and missed with a top 3 pick drafting Sanders. So I do think there's something at play there. The longer you wait for Shedeur, the less expectation. The less expectation, the less heat on you. So I do think this all ties in. I wonder if the Steelers could pull the trigger on Shedeur at 21. It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting if they did that. Shedeur goes at 21. What happens if Jackson Dart gets drafted before Shedeur goes at 21? What does Cleveland and the Giants do then? Cleveland really going to be stuck with Flacco and Pickett? The Giants really going to put their season in the hands of Wilson and Winston? Good luck to you. How much does Jackson Dart impact tonight? Where does he go? Who's interested? Does a team try to move up and draft him? It feels, if you go off of what's being reported and what's been said, it certainly feels like Jackson Dart has the momentum and Sanders is sliding back. But we don't know what we don't know. Behind closed doors, is there more love for Shadur Sanders than what's being put out there? That's going to be interesting. And the final question, whenever we talk about a quarterback, whenever we talk about the first pick in a draft, and I'm not talking about pick number 1, I'm talking about your first round pick, especially when you're talking top 5, top 10. Never forget this. Ownership matters. Ownership gets involved. Not every single year, not every single owner, but a lot of owners get involved. And so even if people believe that the Giants are not going to draft a quarterback at 3, I've got news for you. John Mara, the owner of the Giants, who came out after the season and said that they need a plan. They need a quarterback plan for the future. If John Mara walks into that room in 5 minutes and says, I want a quarterback, guess what? The Giants will draft a quarterback at 3. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but you always have to leave room for the owner to walk in and change the math. John Mara walks in and says, I want Sanders or I want Jackson Dart. Joe Shane's going to draft one of those guys because Mara, he signs the checks. So will ownership get involved at the top of this draft? Will John Mara get involved? Will Jimmy Haslam get involved? Now, Jimmy Haslam has gotten involved. He got involved with the Deshaun Watson thing, and that thing obviously blew up in their face. John Mara doesn't really get too involved. We saw that with Hard Knocks when he wanted to keep Saquon Barkley, but he let Joe Shane do what Joe Shane did. The owners could always get involved, and that's a scary proposition. Marilyn T., rounds on you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Put the drinks up, sláinte, whatever you say. Enjoy yourself. It's the first beer I've had in like a week and a half. I was on anti-inflammatories for my terrible back, so was not allowed to drink. So this beer is tasting fantastic. Greg Fields jumps in, $20 super chat. Thank you, Greg. Marilyn, I like that. Next round on me. So we got a couple of rounds paid for by Marilyn and Greg. Thank you. Always welcome into the bar. I appreciate it. Look at Tom, my guy Tom, Vienna, Austria, waiting for the Pats pick and then going to bed. Don't go to bed. I got the Everything Pats live stream coming up after the pick. Hang out with us, Tom, later. Well, you got work. If you're working out Friday, I guess it's okay. All right, I'm going to get to story number one. Before I do that, I want to give you, a couple of things that can help us out here. Of course, click that thumbs up. Every like means more eyeballs to us with this algorithm on YouTube. So don't forget to like this channel as you watch. Don't forget to throw a comment in. That also helps us. Tom throwing that comment in from Vienna, Austria. That helps us. Don't forget to subscribe. The goal is 6,600 subscribers by the draft tonight. So we're almost there. Let's push on through. Like, comment, and subscribe. All right. Here is going to be my horribly wrong top 10 mock draft. I'm upfront about this. I might not get a single pick right here, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's fun. I'm drinking a beer. I'm hanging out with friends. We're at the Crafts and Kickoffs bar on a Thursday night, first time in a month and a half. So I'm going to give you a terrible top 10 mock draft. And if you want to keep track. You want to kill me on Twitter, that's fine. You want to leave a comment, tell me how terrible it was. That's fine. I'm willing to embrace that. But here I go. And I also want to say, if a trade happens while I'm talking, oh well. The hay's in the barn. The number one pick. This is easy. Cam Ward. If I get this wrong, I should never talk again. Cam Ward goes to Tennessee. I got that one down. I'm going to say that Cleveland ends up not pulling the trigger on a trade, and they draft Travis Hunter. Now, of course, if Jacksonville trades up to 2, I still think Travis Hunter goes number 2. Number 3, I still think Abdul Carter is going to go. I know there's been a lot of talk about Carter's character. I know there are questions about some of his injury history. I know there's concern about his frame and how much weight he holds or can hold. I understand all of that. But I believe Abdul Carter goes to the Giants at number 3. So far, chalk. So far, chalk. Now I got to trade. Trade alert. Not literally. In my mock draft, not in reality. Trade alert. I think the Patriots make a trade with the Chicago Bears. I think the Patriots go from 4 down to 10. The Bears come up to the 4th pick, and they draft Ashton Genty. Ashton Genty, number 4 to the Chicago Bears. Patriots pick up a second-round pick with a deal. Jacksonville. I'm going to throw a dart. I'm not going to make a corny pun with Jackson. I'm going to go with Tetaroa McMillan. T-Mac, whatever you want to call him. I think Jacksonville stays at 5. They can't get up to 2 because they don't offer Cleveland enough. And because of that, they stick and pick. They want to make a splash. Tet McMillan goes 5. The Raiders draft the first offensive tackle, Kelvin Banks. The Raiders draft Kelvin Banks at number 6. The Jets come back. This is a tough one because I do think the Jets could draft Tyler Warren. I do think that's possible. But I'm going to go offensive line. I'm going to go with the Jets drafting Armand Membu. They've got Membu at the right tackle spot, Olu Fashanu at left tackle. You've got your 2 young tackles for the next decade plus. I'm going to go Armand Membu at 7. Again, would not be surprised if it's Tyler Warren. At 8, I've got Carolina going with Jalen Walker. Defensive end, off-ball linebacker from Georgia. Jalen Walker goes to Carolina. The Saints, I'm going to throw a dart. Mason Graham. Now, they could go offensive line. This could be Will Campbell. But I'm going to go with Mason Graham. Mason Graham, if you go back to, just a few weeks ago, Mason Graham from Michigan, interior defensive lineman, highly productive, great character, nonstop motor. He was seen as a top 5 pick in this draft going back a couple of weeks ago. He slides down to 9. I think Mickey Loomis goes best player available, and I think Mason Graham goes to the New Orleans Saints. And I think the Patriots at 10, they get Will Campbell, a guy that they love. I think they would pick him at 4 if they stay at 4. They slide down to 10 with the trade with Chicago. They get the extra pick, and they draft Will Campbell at 10. and they roll with him in 2025 to be their starting left tackle. Could be totally wrong. Likely. Totally wrong. But willing to accept it. And I'll just blame the beer and the week and a half of pain medication. Not at the same time. I'm off the pain meds. I'll just deny it. I'll burn this podcast. It won't even exist. So Cam Ward, number 1. Travis Hunter, number 2. Abdul Carter, number 3. Patriots trade with Chicago. They go from 4 to 10. Chicago moves up to 4. Ben Johnson gets his guy in Ashton Genty. Jacksonville unable to make a move up to make that splash to draft Travis Hunter. They don't get Hunter. Instead, they go with the next wide receiver on the list with Tetaroa McMillan at 5. The Raiders go out and they draft Kelvin Banks, left tackle from Texas. The Jets, they draft a tackle, Armand Membu from Missouri, incredibly athletic tackle, might be able to slide to the left, more likely a right tackle. Carolina drafts Jalen Walker. Some think he's a tweener, off-ball linebacker / defensive end. He goes 8th to Carolina. Mason Graham slides down to 9 to the Saints. Mickey Loomis says we can't let him keep sliding. Mason Graham goes to the Saints. And the Patriots at 10, they pick Will Campbell out of LSU. Could be totally wrong. Raise your glasses, whatever you're drinking. Hopefully you're safe. You have a lot of fun tonight. Enjoy the NFL draft. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Trying to get to 6,600 subscribers by the first pick of the draft. We were about 35, 40 short last time I checked. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate every single one of you. Grab a bite to eat. I'm going to watch the draft start. Then I'm going to jump on the Patriots, the Everything Pats live stream. After the Patriots pick, I'll be jumping on that live stream to do a live reaction to the Patriots pick tonight. Everybody enjoy yourself and have fun. I'll talk to you soon.